Czy dobrze rozumiesz to, co teraz mówię? Okay, I know I may have had you worried there for a moment. After all, we met here to speak English. But this question actually serves a purpose. If you answered affirmatively and you are listening to me speak here now, chances are you are a bilingual. Language is an all-powerful tool. It has served humanity since the dawn of time, allowing us to express our needs, to get what we want, to build emotional bonds, but what's also important, being the reflection of personality. But going back to the briefly mentioned bilingualism, since language is so closely attached to personality, does that mean that people who speak more than one language have more than one personalities? My name is Aleksandra Gorazda. I am a psychology student at the Jagiellońskim University, and today I want to tell you about the fascinating topic of how bilingualism influences personality. My presentation is going to take around 10 minutes. We will take a look at language from a neurobiological perspective. We will also discuss the differences between bilingual and a monolingual brain, as well as, hopefully by the end of the presentation, we will be able to answer the burning question of whether being fluent in more than one language means having more than one personality. Bilingualism refers to the ability to speak more than one language, well, two languages fluently. There is individual bilingualism, when an individual speaks two languages with proficiency, as well as societal bilingualism, where whole communities or countries speak two languages. An example could be Jewish communities in the US, where usually people speak both Hebrew and English. It is believed that there is currently over 3 billion bilingual speakers in the world, which makes up for around 43% of the population. That's quite an impressive number, wouldn't you agree? Okay, but to understand the complexity of this skill, we need to take a closer look at the brain. Language processing involves a complex interplay of various regions in the brain. Two crucial ones are called the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area. The first one is mostly associated with language production, while the other one is uniquely important for language comprehension. Okay, so now that we have that covered, we can start wondering about the bilingual brain. Is there anything that makes it stand out? It turns out that there is some significant differences. People who speak more than one language show increased activity in a part of the brain called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This area, highlighted in the picture, is mostly responsible for executive function, such as problem solving, switching between tasks, and focusing while filtering out irrelevant information. The effort and attention needed when alternating between languages is basically causing this part of the brain to work harder, which in turn makes it stronger. Moreover, although being bilingual used to be seen as a handicap, we now know that it has some very impressive benefits. It correlates with an increased density of gray matter in the brain, more activity in certain brain regions, and may even be associated with a delayed onset of certain age-related cognitive decline, such as Alzheimer's disease or dementia. The learning to think and communicate in another language is basically like giving your brain a very powerful cognitive workout. Over time, it gains strength, just like a muscle would. But let us focus on the topic of personality. Personality is one of the most complex and fascinating areas of study in psychology. It refers to a unique and relatively stable pattern of thought, emotion, and behavior that define an individual, and it's their distinctive way of interacting and experiencing the world. Many bilinguals report feeling different or acting differently when using a different language. Maybe some of you even know this feeling. It actually turns out that this has inspired many researchers to try to look into the question of whether being bilingual means having two personalities. A study by Professor Ramirez Esparza shows us some insight into this issue. Her team studied Spanish-English bilinguals who were asked to complete 2 personality questionnaires on 2 separate occasions. One of them in English and the other one in Spanish. Using the Big Five inventory, Ramirez examined the participants' extroversion, agreeableness, openness to experience, neuroticism, and conscientiousness. The study actually found that people tested higher in extroversion, agreeableness, and conscientiousness when using the English version of the test than they did in the Spanish one. But what may be the reason behind all of that? A possible explanation of this finding is the impact of the cultural background of each language that it has on its users. The use of English activated values typical of an individualistic culture that it is associated with, the culture of the US, while Spanish made the bilinguals think of a more collectivist culture of Mexico, where group activities are dominant, responsibility is shared, and accountability is collective. This actually happens due to an intricate phenomena called code switching. Code switching refers to the process of shifting from one linguistic code to another, depending on the social context or conversational setting. It allows bilinguals to navigate different linguistic settings effectively. They implement altered behavioral, cognitive, and emotional responses according to the situation that they are in. Apart from the cognitive benefits, bilinguals also exhibit a deeper understanding and appreciation of different cultures, and may even be more adaptable to new experiences and environments, as they are already used to managing different linguistic and cultural demands. All right, to summarize, today we learned about the linguistic centers of the brain, the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area. We also discovered the differences between a brain of a monolingual and the brain of their bilingual friend. We looked at the influence of bilingualism and language in general on personality. All of that being said, unfortunately, although it might be disappointing to some, no. Being bilingual does not mean having 2 personalities, but it certainly equips your brain with some very remarkable advantages. In the words of Charles the Great, to have another language is to possess another soul. And let us be honest, who wants to have one when you can have more? Thank you.